One thing that I always really struggled with entering new environments, like when I first went to university in 2021, was that would my personality that I've tried to put across my whole childhood, my whole youth in education, would I finally be able to be myself, or would I once again be misunderstood? And whilst I went, I had a great time, I was accepted, I was I was authentically me the whole time. What I learned is that there's an art to being misunderstood that I never really grasped. But now I appreciate it more, and I go, I actually quite like being misunderstood. And today I'm going to give you sort of the reasons why I I enjoy it and the art of it is basically you're not for everyone, and that is just common knowledge of life. People aren't going to like you. You're not going to like some people. This is from behaviours, from actions, from beliefs. And like I said, I kept telling myself that I needed to be understood in a part of my life. But needing to be understood by everyone is a trap. And really, what you've got to do as an individual is build depth for yourself. And what I mean by this is like put the work in to yourself, to your own learning about your own personality, your own behaviors, your own traits, things that you do that aren't particularly for everyone's liking. And why do you do it? What benefit is it to you? Can you change? Can you stop? And when you build depth to your own personality and character, that's when you begin to confuse the shallow mind that gets stuck in that perspective of you, that think they understand you, or give off the impression to you that they're understanding when you know that you're now trying to be misunderstood, that you're now trying to confuse people that aren't willing to build that depth with you. And being misunderstood is also proof that you're not performing. And I've said this before about how I don't like performing. I don't like faking it till I make it. I don't like showing off. Because when you're performing, you're trying to be accepted, and accepted potentially be by people that you don't really care about or really care for their validity. Because, like I said, we don't need validity from everyone or anyone really, except ourselves. And if we perform, we are looking for it. We also think that not explaining ourselves is a boundary. And the thing is that you don't owe anyone anything in life. You don't owe them your full story or any story. All that you really owe them is honesty and the truth. And the best thing about with me with conversations is that I think everyone would. Everyone likes a two-sided conversation where it's not just one person asking the questions and one giving the answers. It's alternating, asking questions, giving answers. And in that moment where you're asking the said question to someone and they're giving you an answer, what you need to give them is your ears, listening, and silence. Because silence isn't a weakness, it's this discernment. It's where you're present in that interaction, or you're present at the bar with a group of friends and you don't need to say anything, but just you being there sort of feels right. You also need to make sure that you're protecting your energy. And that means that you're not sort of just willy-nilly arguing for no reason. It's one thing that I've just sort of tried my absolute best to sort of cut out in life, especially family, is like, why are we arguing? And it is obviously family, so it's pretty much impossible to go, I've retired from arguing. Because in life, no matter how positive and how much you grow and how much you try and evolutionize yourself as a person, you're always going to argue, because two people will just conflict on an agreement, on an argument, and it just won't go right. When you are misunderstood as an individual, there's a mystery about you. And in the propaganda of growth that I sort of fell in at first, I read something that said, be mysterious. And I believed it. And I thought, yeah, I'm not going to share anything about me. But then I realised that what do I actually like doing in life? And it's sharing stuff about me. It's talking about myself. And it is being quite vain. And it is just a character trait that I am stuck with, unfortunately. Or fortunately. Fortunately for me. But when you have this mystery about you, especially for people that you've never met before, it allows them to fill in the blanks so that you were never misunderstood. They just knew nothing about you. So they could never have that assumption apart from physical appearance. And mystery also does build a sort of bit of self-respect and also respect from them, where when it's handled sort of quietly, you go, yeah, hopefully they look at me in a good light, and then it all sort of just goes to pass and potentially you might never see them again. And then you go, who cares what they thought of me? And then you hold your opinion of them, and if that yours also wasn't positive, just let it go. It doesn't matter. The more you try and explain yourself, the less power your present holds. Where if you're talking and talking and talking, and you're not letting someone get a word in edgeways, you're not listening, your presence is just being devalued because you're not making the conversation two-sided. Being misunderstood also builds trust, where when you get to the point in your life where you're not constantly trying to correct others, trying to change others, what it's really doing is that you're listening to yourself. You're listening to yourself and saying, hang on, you're talking too much here. You're trying to change something that can't be changed. You're putting the effort in for others when they should be the one. And you're wasting, like I said before, your energy. And when you tell yourself this, where you go, I am doing too much, then that means that you're growing and going, I understand it now. You also learn that when you stop trying, you realise who was listening when you were doing too much. Because when you were doing too much, no one said that you weren't doing the right thing. But when you stop, you see who actually listened when you were talking too much and see if they did make a change. And seeing if they were able to handle it alone rather than with you hanging off their shoulder like a monkey. And this is when they trust your opinion, if they then listen, grow, change, or if they never needed it in the first place. But like I said, it also builds your self-trust, where you go, I'm just going to hold off on this for now. I know what I'm doing. I don't need to worry about other people. And self-trust grows in silence, where you don't even know you're doing it. It just sort of naturally progresses, where you go, actually, when I'm at the pub now, I'm going to not talk as much because I don't have as much to say anymore. And not in a bad way, but instead of me talking at the pub for 3 hours, I'm going to listen for an hour and a half. Do you know what I mean? You also become a mirror for other people, where people will not always see you. And you go, oh my God, I'm being misunderstood again. But actually, people are seeing themselves in you. And then you're not being misunderstood. People are looking at you and going like, I do that. I want to do that. I want to get there. And whilst you think you're being misunderstood, you've actually really never been more seen. A misunderstanding of yourself. You know exactly what you bring to the party, to the table, to the group, to yourself. But misunderstanding says more about the lens that others see you. Where if their lens are foggy and they can't understand or see that you're a good person, or if that you're always there for them, if you always make the effort, then their vision is blurred, not your understanding of the perception of others. And what it does as well is that it lets you see the most clear, rather than what people see, because they choose to only see what they want. And I think ultimately we've just got to make peace with being an acquired taste for some people. Well, like I said at the start, we're not for everyone. We don't need to have a mass appeal. I've been doing these videos for 5 months and I've got 50 subs, and I'm gassed about that. Thank you very much. If I had a mass appeal, I would have 100 people that found me, maybe only 50 that enjoyed and understood and took it in and go, I relate to that. You're really just looking for that alignment between yourself and your brain and your mindset. And you're really not then looking to be understood. You're looking to meet new people to misunderstand you and build their own lens that then gives you the clarity to go, I'm okay with this. And longevity in this mindset, it often begins with being underestimated by others, misunderstood, not taken seriously. And not being understood doesn't mean that we as individuals are lost. It just means that we have layers to ourselves, where if someone approached us, we would not lead or hold that conversation on the surface level. We're layered where we would listen, we would talk, we would ask questions, and we would get so much more out of that conversation with someone like-minded, where we go, maybe I'm misunderstood, but I actually quite like being misunderstood now. There's an art to it. And if we're understood, then what more have people got to find out about us?